in, everybody, to another episode of the Beacon Breakdown. As always, I am Mike, our graduate assistant, and today I am joined by.
I'm Blake, otherwise known as Dikembe in game, and I cast League of Legends here.
Yeah, and you also fill in on Midway once in a
Yep,
while,
just
so
a little bit, just a little bit.
yes,
Yep.
so we had an exciting past week, a lot of actions for all of our different teams. Overwatch played the rest of their NECC activation, and we actually just got back their placement. So they're going to be in the exact same divisions as last semester. We have Shield in Challengers Midwest and Beacon in Emergence Midwest. And then we have our addition that we talked about, a little bit on our past episodes, the club team. They're going to be playing in Navigators Central Division. Our teams also took on some GLEC action. Rough weekend going with two losses, getting swept there, but we did have a couple players missing that couldn't make it, so tough there. Um, our League of Legends team
Yep.
also played some NECC activation. If I remember correctly, you actually got in one of those. What was that
Yeah.
like?
So I mean, it's nice just like being able to play around with the team. Obviously, watching them go 2-0 in that last weekend was nice. A couple of changes to our roster, especially that we've had to work around a little bit, just getting used to a couple new people and some new roles. But overall, we adapt well and we played well, so it should be a good season so far.
Yeah, and those games did go very well. 2-0 over RMU Blue and Redbird Academy, who I think you guys had seen a couple times before
Yep.
in the past there. So, taking a look at our Rocket League team, I had the pleasure of being able to cast a 3-2 win over Baldwin on Saturday, a reverse sweep, an incredible series. And I mean, you filled in on Rocket League before, you know
Yeah.
what those games are like.
hmm
And they also went 2-0 in their NECC activation, and the gold team went 1-1. So looking forward, still waiting for those division placements for them, but should be around where they were last time because no major changes.
Pretty much.
Smash Bros received their placement from activation, so they're going to be in Midwest A. A lot of similar opponents that they've already seen before, so again, not a lot of change. That's kind of the theme here.
Yeah.
But in GLAC, very dominant wins on Saturday over Marietta and Tiffin. Two newcomers, so they're still kind of, trying figuring things out, adapting, and we were able to pick up the victory there. Our final team that I didn't touch on, iRacing. We always love those guys. Our most unique esport here.
Definitely. I mean, when you have that like massive rig that they have over there, it's definitely eye-catching. So,
Yeah, no, a lot of equipment, very realistic simulation, and
yep.
if you watch and see those races, it can be intense sometimes the
hmm
way they're calming and the precision you have to have on the track.
there's just a lot of game knowledge that goes into iRacing that I think it's a really underrated game, especially in the esports community. So seeing it and having it here especially is just nice to see.
100%. And, Ricky Paz, our Valpo Esports iRacing captain, done a lot to kind of increase the visibility and
Yep.
build that up. And he's actually going to be on the track tonight. So,
Oh,
just a couple hours, you can tune in to Collegiate iRacing League on Twitch. And he's hoping for a little better finish. You're just talking to me. 3 races in a row, he's finished in 11th. It's a
ooh,
little bit of a curse at this point.
yeah.
So, we're hoping.
Looking to break the angel numbers here.
Yes, yeah.
Looking to get
So
rid of them.
cheer on Ricky to get past 11
Yep.
here. So while I have you on, our distinguished guest of the day, uh,
I'm honored. I'm honored.
yes, of course, of course. I want to talk a little bit, about League of Legends, such an interesting and, incredibly popular game, but how did you first find it?
I mean, it was kind of funny, right? League of Legends is kind of notorious. I've really only been playing for like a year or so. So, my friend just texted me one day and he goes, "Hey, like, it's not a game that really is super inviting to get into, but if you play it, I'll play it, and
Hmm.
we'll just duo queue." So from then on, I just started playing, and I mean, ever since then, it's been my number one game. I haven't been able to drop it ever since, which is a blessing and a curse in itself. But I mean.
Yeah, I've heard it has the tendency to definitely suck people in. You,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't get out of that. So what was your experience like, before League of Legends? What other games did you play? What?
So I mean, I used to play a lot of Overwatch. I used to play a lot of like single player games. My favorite game of all time is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Of
So
course,
I kind of
yes.
would sit in that angle. But team games were nothing new to me, right? I kind of bounced around a lot, especially Overwatch, Rocket League, like these kind of competitive games that I would play with my friends. And I had never really stepped into like an esports
Hmm.
arena or really just like the competitive scene until I came to college here. So
So when you were coming to college here, did you know that this existed? Was this something you thought about, or did you just kind of find it once you got here?
honestly, I had no clue about it. My the way that I found the team was
Hmm.
that I work at the IT desk here at Valpo, and another person on the team, Edgar, also works at the IT desk. I told him that I play League of Legends because I saw that he had a league sticker, and then he told me like, hey, there's a team, like you should come try out. I eventually tried out. I made the team, and it was just fun to be around those guys. But um, I mean, the team is also how I've met like most of my friends here on campus, which is sweet. So,
Yeah, and I mean, since you really haven't had an experience like in that esports environment you talked about, I mean, what has it been like to, be on a team and have these practices and have these games?
oh, it's definitely different. I mean, because there's an aspect of just playing the game and recognizing that, hey, this is a game, right? Like we play it, we enjoy this kind of thing, but there's also now that seriousness that comes with it, that like that week requirement of playing games. There's the practices, there's the drills that you have to do, which speaking of that, we're having a practice right now and I forgot to do my CS drill. So, my fault, Chase. Um,
I'll
but
I'll vouch for you on
Thank
that.
you,
You're
thank
you're
you.
coming over here for
I
this. So.
appreciate that. Yep. But no, there's the drills that you have to take. There's the scrimmages, working out rosters, really looking in depth because the one thing that you don't get when you're playing just solo queue, duo queue is that you don't really understand how to analyze the other team
Mm.
because you have now these setups, these matches where, okay, I get who we're playing a week in advance, right? A week, 2 weeks in advance. I have their OPs. I know who they play, right? I know their league, like what they like to do in games. I have their replays, different things like that, to where you see this and you have to analyze now, okay, what do I take into it? Right? How
Hmm.
do I match up here? A lot of the times on stream, Mike, you know this, I
Oh
talk
yeah.
a lot about drafts. Draft is a huge part of competitive League of Legends that you just don't get when you're playing that solo duo queue. So, kind of these tiny little aspects that play huge into the game of League, that's really what drew me in to like the competitive scene, and those are kind of the big differences that I see.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think draft is, my favorite part too.
Yeah.
I've been on some of the streams with you, but it's almost easier to follow, right? Like in
Hmm.
game, you have a ton of different stuff going on so quickly, but
Yep.
draft is kind of, the more methodical, the
Yep.
chess-esque kind of
Definitely.
approach to things. And,
Mhm.
I love seeing I mean, how many champions at this point?
There's 156, I think. 156 is 57.
Yeah,
One of those.
156, and you have to pick five out of
Yep.
that. And it's like such a tough decision. So
Hmm.
much goes into it. And I mean, I know Coach Chase has you guys doing a lot of preparation in that regard.
Yep. I mean, we talk about pre-draft every single time. Um, Coach Chase loves to just go into it, right? We all get around like that one monitor and we kind of talk about it. It's like, okay, are we okay with giving this lane if we take prio in this one, right? We're known kind of, we know ourselves as people that like to win early. We
Hmm.
love winning lane battles. We don't like trying to kind of wait to scale. Right, like there are plenty of teams that do that really well, but we love just being dominant in lanes. So Chase comes into a draft and he goes, "Hey, let's draft around this." Right? Like, okay, we've seen their OPs, we've seen who they play, we've seen what they play. What do we think? Like, who on this team can give us a prio in that lane, and we'll choose to pick for them. Right? That may be okay. We need to give Karis or Thong Senpai, we need to give him first pick, right? We
Hmm.
need to give him his champion so he can play. That might be okay. Let's leave MFG Kimball. Let's leave his mid lane pick fourth or fifth, maybe that second branch of wave, like that second wave of picks, so that we can give him the counter pick, right?
Right.
There's always advantages to be had, and like you said, it's kind of like a chess match,
Yeah.
right? And that competitive side of League, that kind of chess playing where, okay, I'll give you this, but I'll take this in return, is the part that like really dragged me in, and it's sweet.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that, if you're just queuing up at home playing League of Legends,
Mhm.
you don't really have that time to think about that, like you said, and prepare. Yes, they do a little pick ban in the game, but it's
Yeah,
kind of like, which guy don't you like? Who's not
exactly. Yeah,
fun? Get
it's
rid of
like,
him.
all right, who's the most busted champion? Let's just ban him immediately so that we don't take a chance, right?
Exactly.
With, I mean, when you're going into these games, now that you know who the other people play,
Hmm.
there's no reason banning like Kassadin if you know the other person's played like one game of Kassadin out of like 100, right? There's different kind of aspects like that that you just don't get at home.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, talking about kind of how much there is, all these champions, all these items, you talked about how it's kind of not easy to approach. I mean, how
Yep.
much time do you have to put in and how long did it take to kind of figure out what just everything does in such a massive game?
So I think that there's kind of two things that you have to learn about League. This is coming from a newcomer's perspective, right? Because
Hmm.
even though it's been a year since I've been playing this game, I still feel new, right?
Yeah.
Many people on the team have been playing for much longer than I have, but biggest things you have to determine is there's a sense of game flow and there's a sense of game knowledge, right? Game flow is the easier thing to pick up, right? That's the thing that will get you to start climbing ranks. That's the thing that will start to get you like good KDs, helping your team, excuse me. Just kind of overall playing the game better
Yeah. Yeah.
because you learn, okay, this is where I farm, this is when I can push up, this is when I can back up, right? And then there's game knowledge. There's learning about the champions, there's learning about how to push waves, push in and out, what different objectives do, what matchups you should take, right? That's the much longer part, but that's what elevates your game. A lot of the times, what I've been told, especially, is it's that the hardest thing is taking too much game knowledge in at one time and neglecting that game flow. So
Yeah.
when people do that, it gets really hard to try and reteach that kind of stuff. And I fell into that hole as well. So as I play now, as I practice now, I'm working more on, okay, this is what I have to work on for my character. Like these are the mechanics I have. A lot of people, if you talk to like any high elo players, right,
Hmm.
a lot of them will say that you can really push yourself to like gold, platinum, maybe like probably low platinum, right? To
Hmm.
gold just based on pure mechanic. Because that pure mechanic, that game flow that you know, is enough to win you those games, especially in low elo. It's the game knowledge that takes you further. So I'd say that the game knowledge is definitely the harder thing to pick up, but the game flow that you have is the thing that you should focus on
Yeah.
early on. And that's what I have to work on personally, but
Yeah, that's kind of the more important piece of the puzzle. I mean, it sounds like to me, the classic book smart versus street smart,
definitely, definitely.
You
I
could
mean,
figure out what, all 100 and whatever champions
mhm.
do, but
Yeah, I mean, you have the book smart people where it's like, all right, I have 300 health. Vex Q will hit me for 350, I'll die. And then you have the street smart people where it's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't get hit by Vex Q. Like maybe I shouldn't die here.
yeah.
And then that's kind of the difference that you run into with League, especially starting off early.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think both, like you said, it's really a good balance of knowing, how do I take the information and then actually apply it.
Definitely. And I have to give credit to a lot of League is kind of trial by fire, right? A lot of
Hmm.
it is you go into games. I remember my first game that I ever played with my friend. I
Yeah.
went into it, had no clue who the character Yasuo was, died 15 times to him, right? Had no clue what he did at all. I was just like, hey, let's go play, let's learn. Luckily, hey, it was a draft game, did not matter, but immediately from them we knew it's like, all right, we have to look out for certain people, right?
Right.
And Riot did a good job with creating very distinct characters, I'd say, in League.
Hmm.
When one character shows up, you're not confusing them with something else. I think that's one of the hard things about like shooters maybe, or just team play in general, right? When you see these character picks, right,
Yeah.
is that you need very distinct characters. Even going back to like games like TF2,
Hmm.
the engineer helmet, the massive heavy, right? You can tell who these people are. Same thing with League, and by playing these games, you get that association, which helps you learn.
Yeah, 100%. I know. as somebody who's had the unfortunate opportunity of playing a few games, you,
Yeah,
you get in lane and then, you're like, oh, I'm doing well, I'm farming up, and then out of nowhere, boom, what is that ability? What
yep,
just happened to me?
exactly.
So,
Yep.
like you said, definitely not, the most approachable, but, do you have any advice towards someone who's, kind of new to it, looking in to get into it since it is so daunting?
Don't. Don't. I
Pretty
mean,
simple.
it's very simple. Honestly, if you are already playing the game though, or things like
Hmm.
that, from what I've learned just from like 1 year, at least like from a newcomer's perspective, it's just you have to be open to listen. You have to be open to learn from things. Like go on YouTube, like look up. There's 50,000 different tutorials on how to
Yeah.
do things. You just have to listen because there's things that you'll want to do in the game, and there's things where the like pentakills and the 50,000 kills are always super sweet, but those are very like very niche situations.
Hmm.
You'll have much more fun in the game if you learn how to play it properly. That's my
100%.
biggest thing.
And outside of, proper, I think there's technically a lot of room, for you to express yourself in the way you want, be
Oh,
flexible.
definitely.
What is your personal approach or mentality? Are you more that aggressive, get in there guy, or, sitting back and waiting?
So this is something that kind of identity in the game that I've been working on a lot recently because it's I usually gravitate towards characters that are like more supportive, more helpful, right? They're
Hmm.
able to give people team buffs, but as we go, like as I play with the team especially, it's I'm just not good at them. On like in league, I'm just not good at them. And
Yeah.
it's like it takes a lot of game knowledge and I just don't have that yet, right? But I am much better at the characters that just are play a little bit more selfishly, go for early kills, go for early picks, play kind of aggressively. So talking about like mentality in the game, I've kind of learned around, okay, I need to get what's mine, right? Like I need to get
Hmm.
mine. I need a little bit of help, especially like if I'm going into like a hard matchup. I'll need like one or two ganks, but after that, I'm done. Like I'll get mine, like you guys handle yours. I'll get
Right.
enough of an insurance policy. Like give me kills.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel about it. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna cry and type in all chat if I don't get if the like jungler gets the
Right.
like most of the kills or anything like that. It's just it's learned kind of how I approach games now is it's that I have to go in and get kills and do my thing, and by me becoming a presence,
Hmm.
it lets the rest of my team kind of just flow around.
Yeah,
So
I think it really is, you bring up an important point about it being a team game, and about it being able to be willing to let your jungler, get
yep.
those kills if he's the one that needs to step up in this game. And talk a little bit about, the differences from going, duo queuing with your friend against
Yep.
Yasuo and
Yeah,
dying
yeah,
to
yeah.
now, you have this group of 5 people that you've played with for,
Yep.
months and months, and you kind of know what to expect.
Definitely. I mean, the biggest thing is trust, right?
Hmm.
You go into solo duo, you don't trust anybody on your team. That's completely normal. But now playing on these five like stacks, playing with these guys, playing with the team, you trust like Nolan or Josh, our junglers. Hey,
Hmm.
if you take this kill, you're gonna go get objective priority, right? You trust our bot lane. Hey, if I come down and roam on this, you'll probably get the kill and get that lead, right?
Yeah.
You trust your top lane to play alone. You trust Anaya and you trust Jacob. Hey, to sit in that lane, you're probably not going to get much help because especially in this patch right now, bot prio is so essential. But you have to trust them. Hey, you're not going to die 50 times in lane, right? I'm going to leave you up there. You can go solo kill. You know when to go in, you know when to go out. You don't have to babysit people, right?
Right.
And especially for someone that isn't as experienced, it's impossible to try and look at every single person on the map. But now playing on this team, you know, okay, if I call for assistance in the river, I know someone's coming, right? If I
Yep.
call for this, I know someone's there. And just like that, my teammates expect the same of me. So
Hmm.
you get a lot more of a trustworthy game and it becomes a lot more fun to play around that. But at the same time, the other team's doing that as well.
Yep.
Game becomes much harder.
Yeah. It really is like an entirely different
Yeah.
experience, because
Hmm.
when you are just playing by yourself with these random people, it's kind of like it's all on me, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not getting that help. But once you know, you can kind of play a lot more freer and, kind of set up those plays, especially with all the communication you have in game too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, even just as proof of that, looking at like champs that a lot of esports teams select,
Yeah.
it's not the super, super high win rate champs outside of, your normal like Aatrox from last season or like, the super, super
Hmm.
big champs that were helpful. But like, you look in the mid lane, right? We haven't seen a Kassadin at Worlds. We haven't seen an Akshan at Worlds, right? We've been seeing Silas, we've been seeing Akali, we've been seeing
Yeah.
Azir. Granted, Azir's out there because Azir is a really, really strong champ right now. But
Hmm.
even in champ select, you see these people selecting maybe not the strongest champs in the meta, but definitely the strongest champs that can play around their team, right? You have the Akali for the backline picks, you have the Silas for the ultimate steal and the CC that he has. Azir is just the probably the strongest late game scaler in the game right now.
Yeah.
Um, you see these picks come out. I'm speaking here of mid lane, being a mid lane player.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, um, just you see these picks come out, and it's not because, oh, these are the strongest people in meta right now. They are strong, but it's because you trust your team to play around it, right?
Yeah.
They trust you to, hey, as Silas, I'm gonna steal this ultimate and use it for us, right? And then you trust them, hey, if I go in and jump in and CC someone, I need you guys to follow up, right?
Yeah.
You're not left out on an island, and these characters that hate being left out on islands, us like now all of a sudden are perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of going back to draft too. I mean, that's the other fun part is kind of on the fly. You're trying to figure out, hey, how do these pieces fit together? If
Yep,
I pick this person, yes, they're really strong, but do they fit with, what the rest of my team picked?
definitely. I mean, we had a couple of drafts last season, especially where um I just know from like mock drafts that we've had, the biggest key point was okay, where's our damage?
Yeah,
Right? Because we would draft like a crazy CC top laner, we'd craft like a support jungler. We'd have our supports, we've had our ADC, but it's like who is gonna get us to the point where the ADC scales,
right.
right? That's where those kind of points fit in. And no matter what the win rate of a character is, no matter how broken they are, if they can't play around the team, there's no point in drafting them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about, the strength of the characters and, the fitting together with the team, but
Yeah.
when you're just playing by yourself, what's the pick? What's the favorite fun
Oh,
one?
right now I have like a 78% win rate on Akali with like
Ooh,
15 games, I think it is, 20 games.
that's pretty
Um,
good.
Akali is definitely my best champion. Uh, and it's just like is the smoothest. And if you ask like Chase or someone on the team, it's probably not like in even comparison to any other champ I play. Like I don't know. It's definitely my favorite for a reason.
She's your
And
girl.
yeah,
Yeah,
definite. Oh, for
yeah,
sure, for sure. But she's my go-to pick every single time. So
yeah. And I mean, I love watching Akali. You get in that little smoke screen. You're just dipping and dashing and
yeah,
dodging.
it,
So,
it might be a little infuriating to play against. Just not the most fun for other people, but
uh-huh.
hey,
It's fun for
it's the
you.
champ I play. Yeah, you have
That's
to
the
deal
one.
with it. You have to deal with it. But
Oh man. So I mean, looking forward, both in game and out of game, kind of what are your goals, I guess? We'll start with in game, what are
mhm.
you looking to accomplish this season, with the team and with your own personal growth?
I mean, this season it's specifically like I have to work on just kind of the very, very micromanaging
Hmm.
of like the game, right? Because I can I'll learn rotations as I play with the team more, right? I'll start to learn how to feel out other people, how they're playing, right? My laning phase is a little bit better than it was before, but like especially on champs like Akali where you know you don't have that spike until like 4, 5, 6, where you really have your all-in potential. Um, it's kind of learning where I can step in and where I can't, right? Because there's always the like little mini things where it's like, okay, don't go in here, like go in here. But
Hmm.
it's the feel of that game that I really want to work on this semester,
Yeah.
and this season specifically, where okay, now I know where my power spike is. Okay, now I know this person's just spiked, so maybe I shouldn't fight them. Um, just kind of going in, going out of like where you know your all in potential is. Because like playing Akali specifically is a very snowball character, right?
Yeah.
You want to go that Dark Seal on that first back. You want to get that kind of snowballing like going on, but you can lose that so quick by not knowing when to fight in and when to attack. So kind of target priority and just figuring out where to go is kind of what I'm looking for this semester.
Yeah, well, lots of room to improve. I know you guys are practicing multiple times a week,
Yeah.
and you're one of the teams that I always, see in here, even when they don't have a scheduled
Yep.
practice. You guys are just showing up, playing for a love. I don't know if that's the word, but an attraction to the game, we'll say.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah,
It's more like, me being held on a leash, but
yeah,
either way.
yeah. Yeah, these guys make you play,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That's what it is.
Not these guys, not these guys. It's right games.
Oh man. So, I mean, kind of just a little bit, outside of the game, what
Yep.
are your goals? What are you studying here at Valpo and, hoping to do in the future?
Oh yeah, so I'm here studying computer engineering. I'm looking to kind of pivot that into a software engineering, kind of more of like a UX design, just something around that perimeter. Um, I've worked before with like video editing and different things like
Hmm.
that, so I'm thinking of like side hustles kind of, and then just I've worked in code before as well, so it's nothing new to me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I enjoy doing. As much as it like sucks the life out of you, it's also I'd much rather do that than like other lines of work. It's just very secure. So
Yeah.
I'm looking to have a secure life, a very like quiet, secure life coming out of college. So and I need a job to do that. And computer engineering kind of just spoke to me. So
Yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, there's definitely, a lot of opportunities. Video editing, there's more video platforms than ever. And I
yep,
mean, coding, goodness knows, everything's run by code these
yeah,
days. So
definitely.
definitely a lot of opportunities there. And,
Hmm.
should be a good path for you.
Yep, just have
So
to keep your head down. Keep your head
yes,
down and keep moving.
yeah, stay on the grind, as they
Yeah,
say. Yeah.
definitely.
So as we're looking to close out here, any final thoughts, any shout outs that you want to share with the people?
Um, I mean, honestly, I'm just excited for this new season. Right? I'm excited to be back on campus, back with these guys, like hanging out, like at practices.
Hmm.
We obviously have a big like Magic side of the team that we play, like a lot of
Yep.
Magic the Gathering. I've finally gotten back into it, right?
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot more to the team than just playing League of Legends, and I think that's the part that I'm really excited for. So I'm very happy to be back with these guys.
Well, we are happy to have you back, and we're happy to have you join us here on the Beacon Breakdown. So,
Thank you
th-
for having me.
yeah, of course. And thanks for coming on, and thank you for everyone watching. We will be back next week at the same time. And this has been the